What if Revan trained Starkiller during the Clone Wars? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Revan makes his way over to the Wookiee village, keeping his hood up to prevent them from seeing his Mandalorian armor. Though he means no threat, the last thing he wants is for those Wookiees to get the wrong idea. The closer he gets, Revan begins to feel a faint tingle running across his body. It is something in the Force that is pulling him closer, telling him that the child he is looking for is here. By the time he draws nearer, the guards ready their weapons, but Revan raises his hand and speaks to them in his native language. The guards relax slightly and take him to see their elders, who sit atop the highest branch of their Wroshyr trees. Once alone, Revan asks about the boy. The elders stiffen at the mention, but Revan raises his hand, assuring them he means no harm.
He's powerful in the Force. I sense it, and I'm guessing other people have sensed it too. They will try to take him, and though the Wookiees are fierce, I am not certain if they can protect him. At least, not as well as he can, if he's properly prepared. Allow me to train him here on Kashyyyk. If you find me trustworthy, then I may take him to train across the galaxy.
The elders confer amongst themselves, roaring and grunting as they debate the merits of this plan. It is a difficult decision, but at the same time, they also know what Revan says is true. Finally, the Wookiees agree, and they order the guards to bring the boy forward. Galen Merrick, that is his name. The child of two powerful Jedi who have since died, leaving him to be raised by the elders of Kashyyyk. As Revan looks at him, he can sense the great power, the potential in the lad if he's led down the right path.
Greetings. I am Revan, former Jedi Master of the Republic.
What do you want?
What I want is irrelevant right now, because there is a great shadow looming over the galaxy that no one seems to see. But there is also great power, especially in beings like you. That is why I am here, to train you. Not because I want to, but because I need to.
I'm not going to the Jedi Temple.
Nor would I take you there. I want to train you here, my boy. It seems you've made a home for yourself here, and it would be cruel to separate you from it. At least, right away. When you're older, I will take you with me, but that is a long time from now.
One of the Wookiee elders, Tarfu, roars out and promises to keep him safe. Seeing the Wookiees all give their assurance, Galen agrees. The training he gives him is unlike any other. Galen had learned about the Jedi training from his parents, telling him of its difficulties, not just in harnessing the Force, but also in understanding the dogma and philosophy of the Jedi Order. Revan does not bother with any of those things, as he focuses purely on the practical. Kashyyyk proves to be the ideal training ground for that. Revan spends long hours meditating with the boy, letting him sit in silence underneath the canopy of the Wroshyr trees. From there, he teaches him to be like its tall branches and massive roots, spreading out to touch the rest of the planet. He shows him to use it like a conduit, to connect with the beings around him, from the birds nesting in its leaves to the massive spiders crawling atop its roots. But most Jedi would stop there, simply teaching about the connection. Revan takes it a step further and shows him how he can use it to their advantage. He teaches that their connection to the Force is a gift, so using it should be something they aren't ashamed of. As Galen learns how to connect with these creatures, he also learns how to hunt them. While some are peaceful and harmless, others are dangerous and powerful, things that could destroy entire villages if not kept in line. These are the ones Revan focuses on. He tells him how to sense their presence, when they are awake, when they sleep, and when to strike. Rather than a peacekeeper reacting to threats, Revan aims to mold him into a hunter who intercepts them and finds the threats before anyone gets hurt. And he takes these lessons to heart, starting to venture into the lower levels of Kashyyyk to hunt those monsters that might be a threat to his Wookiee friends. He starts off small, in the intermediate levels, with Revan at his side. Together, the two bring down some of the monsters there, using the Force as their only guide, and their lightsabers as their weapons. They can spend hours stalking creatures before striking when they least expect. Although the Jedi might consider this dishonorable, Revan sees no shame in these tactics. Peace is a worthy enough cause to sacrifice honor for. And as their skills grow, the pair venture deeper, bringing down larger and larger creatures. This wins them the respect of the Wookiees, who join them in these expeditions and treat them no differently than any of their kind. They realize Revan is trustworthy, and he's molding Galen into a worthy Jedi, one who would rise high in the ranks of the Order if he ever joined. but things only grow worse in the Outer Rim as chaos unfolds in the aftermath of the Naboo crisis. Emboldened by this pushback, even the Wookiees begin placing tariffs on Trade Federation goods. This results in the corporation deploying a battalion of battle droids to punish the Wookiee traders. Blaster fire scorches the towering Wroshyr trees as the battle rages through the dense jungles of Kashyyyk. Wookiee warriors roar in defiance, their bows and blades striking down the relentless wave of battle droids advancing on their village. But while hundreds fall, many more take their place. The Trade Federation's machines move without regard for their safety, only interested in bringing down the Wookiees, and many of the powerful creatures fall with them, cutting through the defenders with cold efficiency. The Wookiees struggle to hold them back and are about to order a retreat when two figures descend like shadows. Revan lands first, his purple blade igniting with a hiss. With a sweeping motion, he severs a row of droids in an instant. Galen follows, landing in a crouch before exploding forward, his twin sabers carving through the machines in a blur of light. He moves like a storm, unpredictable, relentless. Blaster bolts rain down, but the pair deflect them with effortless precision. Starkiller tears a super battle droid apart with the Force, its limbs ripped away like paper. Wookiees rally behind them, unleashing their own counterattack, but the endless droid reinforcements keep coming. Soon, the two begin to feel their fatigue setting in.
This is useless. They don't tire. They don't fear. We need to end this at the source.
They leap behind cover and try to reorganize defenses while Galen tries to observe the droids. He sees them. How they act, in perfect symbiosis, like a living organism. This means there must be a brain. Starkiller follows his gaze to the backlines, where a tactical droid stands behind a protective phalanx of battle droids, directing their every move.
Master, let's take this monster's head off.
Revan doesn't hesitate. He moves like a shadow, weaving through blaster fire, cutting down anything in his path. Starkiller follows, but where Revan's strikes are precise, his are brutal. He crushes a B-1 droid's head with the Force before driving both sabers through the chest of a super battle droid.
Defensive formation. Prioritize targets Alpha and...
Raven's saber spins through the air, slicing the droid's head clean off before it can finish its command. The remaining droids freeze mid-motion, confused. Without direction, they twitch erratically, losing their cohesion and allowing the defenders to turn the tide. The Wookiees waste no time. With a thunderous battle cry, they charge, hacking the confused droids apart. The battle is won.
That was effective. Power without control is meaningless. A single, precise strike is worth 1,000 wasted blows. Well done.
Unfortunately, this is far from the end, as battles like this become all too common across the galaxy. It seems the Trade Federation and other large corporations have been emboldened, and now take action against client worlds whom they wish to control, and they soon band together to form the CIS. With this combined army, they soon declare war on the Republic, plunging the galaxy into chaos. While most Jedi join their comrades in war, Revan and Galen remain where they are. Revan distrusts the Republic. He continues to have his dreams of the darkness, and while there is no doubt the CIS are evil, he also cannot trust the corrupt Senate either. So instead, he fights the war on his terms. He purchases a ship and gathers some of the veterans from this short conflict on Kashyyyk, inviting them to serve in his army. Many seasoned hunters agree, eager to exact their revenge on the CIS. A few are even members of the famed Klatuvek Guild, whose knowledge of hidden hyperspace routes is second to none. Though their army is small, Revan has a plan. Galen joins them and takes the name Starkiller as his codename. Using their strategy in Kashyyyk, the pair struck the CIS hard, hitting leaders and commanders instead of fighting the droids. Their army at first seems like a marauding band of pirates instead of a proper military. They launch hit-and-run attacks on CIS holdings, working to draw out the droid forces and commanders before disappearing. But once they expose themselves, the Jedi strike. While the Wookiees keep the droids occupied, Revan and Starkiller rush into the enemy headquarters and defeat their commanders. By studying the droid formations and tactics, they learn the best weak spots to hit them and how to avoid getting bogged down. Here, their small force works in their favor, as they can remain mobile. Once the commander is dead, they leave the droids for the Republic forces to finish off. Although they do not work directly with them, they do indirectly assist them in this conflict, and their success attracts more followers. In worlds occupied by the CIS, resistance and partisan units join forces with Revan, providing him with intelligence and volunteers to join his growing fleet of privateers. The most skilled of these is Starkiller. His mastery of the Force and fine senses allow him to spot opportunities where none seemingly exist. Even the most experienced guerrilla leaders cannot keep up with this. But as the war expands, the pair do not limit their operations to just taking out tactical droids. They also begin taking out higher value targets, like enemy commanders, high-ranking corporate executives, and even political leaders. The pair realizes the CIS needs all of that to function and organize their massive droid army. So instead of destroying their forces, they aim to hamstring their ability to act, severing the brain from the body. They do not limit these attacks to the CIS, though. The pair learns that the Republic leadership is just as eager to take advantage of the chaos as the CIS, and work to begin taking out less desirable elements as well. Corrupt senators, ruthless military officers, and amoral scientists meet the same fate as their separatist counterparts. For the Republic citizens who initially cheered this group on, the message is clear. Their loyalty is not to any faction, but to justice. Some of the Wookiees and partisans are understandably concerned about facing off against their former allies, and are reluctant to carry out this order. So instead, Revan also begins recruiting talented separatists. Many members who have experienced Republic corruption eagerly join his organization in hopes of punishing the corrupt Senate, but it also helps make his organization something more permanent. They fight not to destroy one faction, but to balance the scales. It also gives them access to a patchwork of outposts across both the Republic and Separatist spaces. Using the secret hyperspace routes of the Klatuvek Guild allows them to strike and disappear without either side knowing what's happening. But one person does notice. One who has information on both sides and watches the events unfold like a chessboard. Palpatine smiles as he watches the emergence of this new faction. Despite its small size, it has done much to upset the balance of power. So he decides to contact them. During one attempt to eliminate a corrupt senator, Palpatine plants a holodisk on his person that Revan finds.
Greetings, stranger. So you are the one who has frightened off both the Republic and Separatist leadership.
If they fear me, then it means they have something to hide.
Like you. Just who are you?
I am someone who shares your ideals, young one. I, too, wish to remake the galaxy and turn it into something beyond the corruption of the Republic and the Jedi. Perhaps we can help each other.
Let me guess. To rebuild the galaxy how you want it. What does that entail?
He frowns underneath his helmet, sensing great power in this individual. Although carefully hidden, he can feel the darkness in him like a stench. Revan feels his body shiver as he thinks on what this means, and if this is the Dark Lord he has been searching for.
A galaxy we both desire. The Jedi are a roadblock in this plan. Most are ignorant of it, and can be eliminated when the time comes. But there are some, those who might prove troublesome, and must be destroyed before they can warn the others. Your assassins have proven to be quite skilled in eliminating targets. Help me destroy them.
There is a long pause as those words sink in. Revan and Starkiller both look at each other. While neither one has any love for the Jedi, they don't want to see them destroyed either, and feel a sense of unease at this plan. By asking this, all you prove is how little you know of us. We are fighting to save the galaxy, not plunge it into darkness. We will not fight only to deliver it into the hands of the likes of you.
Insolent boy. I will make you regret those words.
Unfortunately, my apprentice speaks the truth. I will not allow such a thing.
Then you shall both regret it.
The transmission cuts off and leaves the two to ponder what they just witnessed. Starkiller paces, energy crackling around him like a storm barely contained. So what do we do?
We refuse him.
That part's obvious. But who is he? He's powerful. I could feel it, even through a simple transmission.
And deceptive. He speaks of reshaping the galaxy, but I sense no true desire to end corruption, only to replace it with his own rule. Perhaps one of the CIS leaders.
At first I thought it was a Separatist leader, but that holodisk was on a Republic senator. That means this figure must influence the Republic. Enough that a high-ranking senator would have such ties with him in the open.
An excellent thought. He wants the Jedi dead. Then that means he sees them as a threat. But to what? We have to force him into the open.
Then we hit something important. Something tied to the anti-Jedi faction.
If we're going to play Dejarik, let's see how our opponent reacts to losing a piece.
Perched atop a ledge overlooking the grand convocation chamber Starkiller watches through his visor as Masamata leaves his private quarters. The Chagrian moves with a weary confidence, oblivious to the storm closing in on him.
Masamata is one of the strongest anti-Jedi voices in the Republic, and a high-ranking position to boot. I think his law should sting a bit.
You got it, Master. With a flick of his wrist, he leaps down, landing silently on the balcony outside the office. The transparent steel doors slide open, revealing a pair of blue-skinned Chagrian aides flanking Amada's desk. Starkiller moves before they even register his presence. His lightsaber is ignited in a flash of crimson. One stroke, 2 bodies fall. Amada stumbles backward, his wide eyes reflecting the glow of Starkiller's sabers.
Guards! Security!
Several Senate commandos appear, firing upon him as they rush into the office. Starkiller kicks the desk forward, taking cover behind it as the guards advance. From the side, one of his lightsabers flies out and decapitates the commando just as he catches it and whirls his right. Starkiller lifts a hand, and the door slams shut behind him. Amada steps backwards, stumbling over their bodies and looking up. You are an enemy of the Jedi, so I think you will have answers to my questions. You have no idea who you are defying. You're right. It's what I wish to know. Who are you working for? If you think I fear you more than what he'll do to me if I talk, then you have no idea who you're dealing with. He scrambles away, pressing himself against the wall like a cornered animal. Who is your master? Amada coughs, his eyes darting to a hidden panel in his desk. Starkiller sees it, feels the flicker of intent, and in an instant, he hurls his lightsaber. The spinning blade shears through the console before Amada can activate it. Killing me won't change anything. The Senate is already lost, and your master made sure of that. How lost is the question. Starkiller exhales sharply as he pulls Masamata forward and drives his lightsaber into him. The office falls silent. Starkiller activates his communicator. He wouldn't talk.
Oh, a pity. Oh well. Head back to headquarters. We must prepare ourselves for their counterattack.
Starkiller turns and steps toward the shattered window. With a leap, he vanishes into the Coruscant night, leaving only darkness behind. When they find Masamata's body in the morning, the Senate is in an uproar. Fingers are pointed, and fear grips them as they worry whether they might be next. But Palpatine already knows who is responsible, and urges the Senate to stay calm.
Accusations are just that, and worthless in this case. We already know who is responsible for this horrific act. Who else could it have been but these marauders who have been attacking our forces and assassinating our brave public servants and clones? That madman Revan and his army of murderers. Only they would be so bold as to murder one of our highest-ranking officials in such a way. But rest assured that such an act will not go unpunished.
The senators all applaud those words, reassured by the promise of swift retaliation for these attacks, and Palpatine does just that. He uses this attack to turn people against them, painting Revan and his allies as radicals. Assassinating local officials is one thing, but a man like Masamata does have some repercussions, and many of their allies are reluctant to support them openly, lying low for the time being. But that window is all the Chancellor needs. He redirects forces to begin striking at Revan's forces. Although he has the advantage of his hidden hyperspace lanes, they will not matter if he has nowhere to flee, and that is just what Palpatine works to do. He can coordinate Republican CIS forces to target his holdings across both factions. Suddenly, a dozen of their hidden bases come under attack at once, and many more fall. The simple problem is that Revan's faction does not have the numbers to face them all at once. Although they fight fiercely, with Starkiller spearheading these attacks and taking out a dozen enemy leaders, it only delays the inevitable as they are pushed back. Seeing their strategy falling, Revan orders his forces to gather in one of their moon bases and prepare for the final battle. It is a surprising move, but Revan seems certain of it. Yet, as Starkiller prepares to withdraw, he receives a communication from Revan. What do you mean I'm not coming with you?
There is one final move to make. One more assassination.
We're on the brink of collapse, and you're thinking about another kill?
Of course. The cornered beast is the most dangerous. They'll expect us to whittle down and die. But that leaves their soft underbelly exposed. You are my best and sharpest knife. You are the only one I can trust with this task. You remind me of HK-47 in a way. Now, if we are truly to resist what's coming, one final act is necessary.
All right. I won't let you down. But you better not be planning to die on me, old man.
If I planned on dying, I wouldn't have trained you.
Starkiller hesitates. Even after all their battles, all their assassinations, this feels different. He bows his head and nods. The transmission ends, leaving Starkiller alone in the dim light. Revan steps out from his tower and watches the Republic forces advance. Around him are his most trusted warriors. He raises his lightsaber and roars defiantly, knowing that Starkiller will need all the time he can get. He needs to make sure the boy gets his chance. With a roar, he rushes into the mass of advancing clones, Cloak billowing behind him. Coruscant is alive with energy as thousands gather in the Senate Plaza, cheering as Supreme Chancellor Palpatine stands before them, delivering a speech that echoes through the vast expanse. Starkiller watches from the shadows above, perched high atop a durasteel pillar, his breath controlled. Feel the currents of the Force. Find the moment. Revan's teachings guide him as he reaches out. He senses the pulse of the crowd, the flicker of fear beneath their cheers. The weight of Palpatine's presence pressing over them all like a storm about to break. But as the speech ends and the crowd disperses, Palpatine waves them all goodbye. Then, there, a shift in the air, a brief lapse in attention. The perfect opportunity. Starkiller doesn't hesitate. He leaps, lightsabers igniting in a brilliant flash of crimson as he hurls toward his target. The Force propels him like a missile, wind rushing past his face as he descends upon him like a missile, and the Dark Lord of the Sith smiles. A crackle of lightning surges between them as Starkiller swings his blades. Palpatine's hand snaps up, intercepting the strike with a surge of dark energy that sends the assassin spiraling backward. Starkiller lands on his feet, skidding across the platform.
I felt you coming, boy. Did you truly believe you could kill me so easily?
Starkiller doesn't answer. He surges forward again, striking with all the power and precision Revan drilled into him. Palpatine meets every attack, his crimson blade flashing against Starkiller's strikes. He sidesteps each attack and parries the strikes with his lightsaber. Although Starkiller sweeps his lightsabers in a wide strike, the Sith Lord laughs and ducks underneath them.
You are strong, but strength without purpose is meaningless.
You're wrong. I do have purpose. My master gave it to me.
Your master will die a foolish death.
Then he strikes. Lightning erupts from his fingertips, surging into Starkiller's chest as he's too slow to block the attacks. Agony racks his body as he stumbles back, barely catching himself. Palpatine swings his lightsaber toward him, and it bites into his abdomen. He stumbles to the ground and blocks the secondary attack. Starkiller lets out a choked gasp as pain floods his senses. Part of him wants to tell Palpatine he's a liar, but then he feels it. From 1,000 parsecs away, he could sense Revan in the battle, sticking out like a blip in his mind. The battle rages, and he stands out. He remains a force of nature, throwing clones back, but he is an island in a sea of foes. As he parries blaster fire and throws the clones aside with the Force, but he is almost alone as his warriors are being pushed back or cut down. Revan pauses, his breathing heavy as he looks up as if sensing Starkiller looking at him, and then he chuckles.
Starkiller, you still have a job to do.
He is about to respond when a sudden surge of blaster fire forces him on the defensive, but several rounds get through and strafe his armor. He gets to his knees and raises his lightsaber.
I see. You're struggling too. Well, let me give you my final lesson, my boy. Don't ever let your fire die out.
He screams as another burst of blaster fire rains down on him. Suddenly, Starkiller is back in the present. Palpatine looms over him and sweeps his lightsaber towards him, but Starkiller's lightsaber suddenly comes up and blocks his strikes. Rising to his feet, he glares at Palpatine and shoves him back. Surprised, the Chancellor rushes forward and sweeps his lightsaber towards him, but Starkiller halts the attack and holds it in place, and then throws a punch that sends him stumbling back. Looking up, he fires a burst of Force lightning, but Starkiller blocks it and leaps up. He swings low at Palpatine's legs and leaves him stumbling out of the way when he tries to halt. In desperation, he tries to slash forward, but he moves too quickly, and Starkiller times his strike perfectly, driving his lightsaber perfectly. Palpatine's eyes widen as he feels the weapon bury itself in his chest as he slumps over, dropping to the ground without another sound. Starkiller stares over at his body, contemplating what he just did and what he had lost. After the battle, he returns to their base, where he finds Revan's body, buried under a mass of clones. When he pries his armor off, he finds Revan with a smile on his face. Although grief-stricken, he does not let this sadness consume him. Instead, Starkiller honors his master by carrying out his mission. He rallies the surviving warriors from all across their holdings and renews their offensive. With Palpatine dead, they are left in chaos, and Starkiller attacks with renewed ferocity against both sides, and, bit by bit, begins to forge his new faction. He doesn't just stop there, and begins recruiting new Jedi to his ranks, those disillusioned with the Republic, and they learn what Revan had taught Starkiller. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.